and Lynn paid £1,000 for an album that never arrived. A bride from Abergwili near Carmarthen chose the gardens here at Aberglasney for the photo shoot because of the beautiful surroundings. Shame that in so many of the pictures the guests are looking upward and screwing their eyes because of the sunlight. In Abergwili near Carmarthen last year, Lynn had a whirlwind romance with a Scotsman she'd just met, Joe Munro. When they decided to marry, they didn't tarry, and so needed to book a photographer in a hurry. They found one in Newcastle Emlyn who would be free on the day last September.
He seemed to be quite on the ball, knew what he wanted to do, asked me to make a list of the photographs that we wanted. We explained to him that we'd be going to Aberglasney because we just think it's such a beautiful setting, and that was where we wanted the photographs to be taken. And he promised he would go over there and have a look and seek out places to take the photos.
The photographer was Jeremy Moore, whose specialities include taking pictures of wildlife as well as weddings. He wanted his feet up front.
The day he came to see us, he said it would be £600 and we would have a CD. There would be hundreds of photographs taken, and we could choose between 80 to 100 of those, which would be put onto CD and we could have, and that would be £600. Joe, because this was his first marriage, he wanted an album, and we agreed to pay the extra £400, so we gave him £1,000.
He chose to set many of his first set of pictures against a background of balloons. All the people had harsh shadows on the walls from the flash.
All of the photographs that we have of us in the house have got these balloons sticking up the back. And when he came to see us, I said, can you edit those out? Oh, well, that would be difficult. I have 4 children by my first marriage, and they're all grown up now. My son gave me away. My 2 daughters were bridesmaids, and my other son was there. And we just wanted a photo of, of us as a family group as well, and that's not them.
Jeremy Moore had a special brief inside the church where the vicar discouraged other people taking any pictures.
The photos in the church, I think, are the biggest disappointment to both of us. We chose 2 people to be our witnesses who are very, very important to us, and there isn't a single photograph of them. There's 2 photos, I think, of us looking horrific. Everybody's got the most awful expressions on their faces, and that was it. He was sat in the choir stalls right next to us, and he just sat there gazing around. He wasn't taking photos. The ones that we have are awful.
The couple had chosen the gardens at nearby Aberglasney for the main group shots, as it offered a range of backdrops.
The only photo I'd asked him to take from one of the walls, from standing on one of the walls, was the group photo, because I think they look nice when you look down on them. But after a while it became apparent he took all of the photos from there, so every photo we have is from the top of the wall, and they're not very good. And at one stage, one of our guests actually had to shout up to him that everybody was stood in the sun looking up like this and squinting, and the photographs showed that.
Lynn's friend, Dave Owen, is a professionally trained photographer. He also took pictures, but the main job was left to Jeremy Moore.
Everything was in the same position, or 90% of it was in the same position. I became very frustrated, actually walked away and started taking photographs of my wife, saying to her, this is where you should be taking photographs now. They're absolutely fantastic location.
We put all the photos online, and we went and looked at them, and our hearts just sank when we saw them because they were such poor quality, and we just thought, well, he won't have put the best online. So we hoped that when we got back there would be others, and we made an appointment to see him. He came to the house and he said, there's clearly problems here. I didn't take all the photos that you wanted, and made excuses and various other things. But he then showed us a layout of how the album would be. It turned out that those photos that were online, and I think there were about 70 of them, were all that there were.
Looking at the photos themselves, what's your judgment?
Very, very amateurish, to my mind. Some are not even in focus, and I don't know how you managed to do that.
The record of the wedding, I can only say we are incredibly grateful that our friends took some amazing pictures. We did have some lovely pictures. We had 3 friends in particular who were very keen amateur photographers, and they took some amazing pictures for us.
That
and
saved the day,
those
didn't it?
are lovely, but we don't have the pictures which were important to us, which are the ones that were in the church.
Jeremy Moore says he couldn't provide the paid-for album because the software needed had been wiped from his computer.
he answered the phone and gave me a very sob story about how he had had a computer virus, he'd lost all his software, but he still had the pictures, and how it would take £1,000 for him to get the software back again. But he did have a conscience, and he felt really bad about what he'd done to us, and he would give us the album.
Jeremy Moore declined an interview. He promised to supply the album in 4 weeks and said he was deeply sorry for any upset caused by the delay. He said our contact was the first indication that the couple were unsatisfied with the quality of the photographs. Apart from failing to supply the album, he denied all other criticisms.
It upsets me because I know that it's what Joe wanted. This is his only wedding. This is his only marriage. He wanted a proper record of it, you know. He really wanted a good album. But there are people out there who will be paying this man money, and I don't want him to ruin other people's days.
When you go to see your photographer, make sure you see their entire portfolio from start to finish. There's no good seeing the best bits of 20 weddings, because they might have had 3 good photos out of 1,000 that they took. Whereas if you see one wedding from start to finish, maybe 100, 200 photos, you'll get a sense of the photographer's style, of their technique, and just whether they're any good and whether that's your taste, more importantly.